This video is intended to describe a Lightblade wand named Ensureance to ensure the capacities of the wielder are always in high tip-top shape, quite simply. I will start off with the primary blade band consisting of labradorite with a much heavier concentration on both sides of the blade face right here next to thumb engagement of labradorite. Labradorite is a stone that's quite vast in its metaphysical properties. Like I've mentioned in previous videos of labradorite heavy constructs as a primary blade band projection, it's almost trying to discuss the vastness of the ocean, in my humble opinion, of the mysterious aspect that labradorite carries, but I'll do my best to keep it consolidated and academic for a comprehensive practical description. Labradorite is a wind elemental stone with a feldspar nature, hence the refractions actually produce the light flash is actually of a feldspar nature, and is a great stone of mysteries of piercing through the veil of waking world reality. So you can think of this stone as high capacity to really ensure the magical perception of the matrix of reality is very well consciously viewed by the wielder of this frequency. So labradorite has the aspect, of course, of increasing impulses of varieties of vibratory broadcast or magic towards intentions. So it's very powerful stone for breaking through the veils of limitation, so to speak, and to be able to apply that magical intention in all endeavors. Let's say, for example, a practitioner is praying for somebody, and they have the capacity, of course, to intensify the prayer's intention by being able to somewhat more tap into the other realm, the voids of creation. It's a very meta magical stone, quite simply, to put it very lightly. And hence I digressed earlier in my dissertation saying that labradorite can be hard to directly quantify at times. But it's also a stone of great magical protection as well as psychic protection, and also encourages the full elemental spectrum of earth, fire, water, and wind in the proper balanced format for the operating system of the wielder of this particular frequency device. So, keywords would be psychic protection, magical increase, clairvoyant, clairaudient, and all the clairs basically get highly enhanced by the magical perception of labradorite, as well as a very nice psychic energy shield that prevents others from tapping into the field of labradorite when it's engaged. I believe that should consolidate and condense enough for just labradorite alone, and continue on with the description. To subcapacitate the engagement sequence of labradorite into tourmalated quartz throughout the entire matrix, tourmalated quartz actually has black tourmaline inside a clear quartz structure, which means the grounding purification of a black gray stone of tourmaline inside quartz gets a massive acceleration of that particular black gray black tourmaline grounding capacity to ensure a very safe arc ground path for all the stray energies of black tourmaline to transmute negativity into positivity by grounding to the base, into the Earth stars, and into the Earth star meridian matrix for reprocessing. So by having that labradorite subcapacitation with the black tourmaline makes a very powerful purification acceleration, while the quartz inside the structure also maintains a very neutral carrier, as well as a very intentional receptive broadcast. So clear quartz by itself is always very useful for intensifying a broadcast or intention, so to speak. And so having the ignition sequence labradorite with the tourmalated quartz actually makes more of a purification ground with the neutral acceleration of the clear quartz through the primary blade band, to give a little context. So you can think of the primary blade band being very magical inducing labradorite, also grounding and purifying throughout the entire ignition sequence as the primary blade band. Continuing on to the blade band right here goes into the transmutation ratio. This entire ratio of this section going this lateral band all the way here, then circulating back, and even the main engine band is all consisting of hematite and smoky quartz in the exact ignition sequence seen here. Hematite is a very powerful grounding stone based on iron, metal, so it has a very strong, powerful connotation for grounding excess energy through the base chakra into the Earth stars, and once again into the Earth star meridian matrix. Smoky quartz makes a lovely purification frequency through the entire background of the auric field. In tandem with hematite, makes a very successful ground of energy into the base, into the Earth stars, into the Earth Meridian matrix for reprocessing. So the combination of the transmutation ratio is quite effective for grounding all excess energy as well as transmitting any negativity into positivity by ensuring the contact patch for the recycling of energy, for reprocessing, into Mother Earth makes a two-way ground point to always ground the excess energy, which is obviously very critical in a much higher vibratory device such as a Lightblade wand with a very complex operating system, so it has a very strong grounded foundation to ensure that all this concentrated energy in a closed loop circuit is always ensured to ground all the excess energy into the earth, particularly in aspects of manifestation, prayer work, or just good vibes for spaces, places, and beings on the jurisdiction of this wielder. So that would be the transmutation blade band in brief. I will go ahead and get into the main engine on this side right here. Okay. At the very apex tip of this engine band is a star argonite. Star argonite is a calcium-based light body activator. So actually it activates the entire chakra column from bottom to top. Every single chakra is stimulated by this calcium full expansion light body energy weaving, and also has a way to really clear any kind of impediments that would be blocking the natural light body flow. So in the healing device, this is a very advantageous frequency to have in a high flux, particularly next to the main engine, which is the Lemurian quartz, which I'll get into more a little bit later. The argonite makes a very powerful healing frequency in its own right, as well as particularly the stimulation of the atomical structure of the skeletal structure, the densest aspect of our beings, to have the light kind of radiate from the inside out, so to speak. So we can think of a powerful way to really augment the scaffolding of our physical avatars is by energizing and densifying the bones. That was a mouthful. So star argonite's a master healer in its own right, not to mention very complementary to everything else in the single closed loop circuit terminated sequence, which obviously, evidently, all these frequencies all will play off each other in the ignition sequence to make one frequency broadcast closed loop reactive tandem field this thing is designed to generate. So this right here, this Lemurian clear quartz, actually is the main heart of the device, so to speak. So it is also the most neutral clear quartz piece of a neutral programmable carrier, which makes a fantastic engine to basically have all the other frequencies run through a neutral amplification through this device, as well as the wielder, when they're engaged with this frequency, when they have prayers or intentions, things of that nature, that energy of this clear quartz will maintain the structure and have the focus of the intention energy focus through the entire device for the broadcast of the purpose of the wielder's intention. And down here, on the other heart of the device, if you would, is a smoky celestial quartz. This is a very specialty component for this device. Smoky celestial quartz is a base of smoky quartz, like I described for the transmutation blade band ratio, but the celestial format is quite this special formation that has a very particular effect on the energy body of the conscious self. Celestial quartz format itself actually makes a very powerful auto-regulation of the excess energy and a dimmer switch for the calibration of the wielder of this device. So you can think of this being the perfect regulator to ensure the maximum energy required in a healing session is at the peak octave, while not being at the capacity of being too much for that purpose, to always maintain the proper frequency pitch required in any situation. It's very complex to get into and how that relates to the entire larger device, but it definitely is worth the further explanation. So you can think of the practitioner of this device in the healing session, which is what this device is designed to be going into distribution for. They're, of course, in a session, and the blade, of course, when the recipient of this frequency under the jurisdiction of this wielder, it will actually heighten up the frequency through the entire frequency pitch to the required frequency dose, so to speak, to make a retrocausal timeline shift or energy shift, so to speak. But if the practitioner is just letting it rest, whatnot, it also works as an autoregulator to kind of slow the vibration down of the entire construct in a more harmonious pitch. So this particularly by itself makes it very energetically, situationally reactive in the narrative of the story of this wielder, which makes it a very special component. And obviously in a larger Lightblade wand construct of great concentration and many different diverse frequencies, having a regulation for the entire matrix of this device to have a governor that will always ensure the right amount of energy given in the narrative of the story of the wielder is ensured, is a very special component and is, of course, a staple in any kind of blade of this nature to ensure that it's regulated and properly balanced at all times. Okay, after that mouthful, I'm getting on to the agate and jasper sections. This right here is blue lace agate, which is a 5th chakra water elemental stabilizer, which is very effective for stabilizing the 5th chakra, which is very obviously advantageous for counselors, practitioners who must speak insights and truth to keep that higher 5th stabilized in the aspect of their practice. Obviously, self-evidently, very important, very helpful. In tandem with the other agates, and the jasper I'll be describing, has a very particular purpose. So moving on to the next stabilized format of the earth element, red jasper. Red jasper stabilizes the base chakra very effectively. Moss green agate stabilizes the 4th very effectively, water elemental. It's also a very lovely etheric blueprint heart cohesion aligner, so to speak. So you can think of that aspect of really encouraging a stable format of the idyllic factory setting etheric blueprint of the recipient of this device, having a strong, stable heart center. Then down here is fire agate. Fire agate, just like the other agates, is a very stabilized version of the fire element, stabilizing the base, sacrum, and solar plexus. So obviously it stabilizes the lower 3 very effectively, and that works very much for the gusto or zest for life frequency, as well as being another stabilized anchor for the entire higher frequency output to stabilize through the filter of the lower 3 to engage the most through the lower chakras. Very amazing agate. So that being mentioned about the agate and the jasper, these are the most stabilized varieties of the different elemental spectrums in the mineral kingdom. So having these stabilized frequencies in this entire operating system is very helpful for longevity purposes, as well as keeping things stable in the different elemental spectrums. Which stability, of course, is key when it comes to higher frequency endeavors of practicing magic, so to speak. So that's pretty self-explanatory, pretty evident. To further increase the truth aspect is turquoise. Also found up here in this thumb engagement, which I wish you will get to eventually. This will take a while to get down here. So turquoise is, of course, known as a stone of wholeness, stimulating the 5th chakra. And it's been notarized and utilized by humans for quite many generations, and thousands of years actually, of its metaphysical properties. It's been utilized in Egypt, Turkey, turquoise, of course. That's where the name came from. Mongolia, First Nation tribes, all across the world it has great reverence, and it has been a common favorite of many souls for thousands of years for a very good reason. Of actually embodying the aspects of the earth, fire, water, and wind elemental spectrum through the 5th ray focus. So you can think of it as very much a stone of wholeness and very soothing by having the elemental balance through the 5th chakra. So obviously a fan favorite of thousands and millions of people for a good reason. This right here is good old-fashioned rose quartz, which is pink ray stimulates the high heart chakra for love frequency. This right here is golden white healer quartz. Gold white healer quartz, or golden healer quartz technically, is golden white light frequency Christ emanation source connection. So even having a small dose of that direct resonance to the source of creation energy is very effective in the entire closed loop circuit. And this right here is jet. Jet is a lovely black ray transmutation stone. You can think of it as another way to turn negative energy into positive energy by rapidly transmuting it into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing, so that the dense negativity that be coming into the field gets a very strong stabilization clearing pattern that grounds it. It also is a black ray carbon-based frequency, and was utilized by druids of old, particularly in the mitigation of black magic, so to speak, and a more old school magic connotation of this usage was from that time period. Alrighty. To complement that old school black carbon-based transmuter is the new school shungite, which is quite in vogue right now due to its notoriety to mitigate EMF waves or any kind of harmful subtle radiations that could actually affect the subtle DNA of the human auric field. Shungite is another black ray carbon-based frequency purifier, much like a charcoal filter. You can think of both of these in tandem like that. But this, of course, is a more recent discovery used in metaphysics. So taking the two of the black frequencies of the old school and new school metaphysical application gives a very overall nice, advantageous clearing of the entire auric field. And another pathway to ensure that all energy is turned into positivity by reprocessing so that nothing really sticks to the personal field when engaged. So it always grounds out. That's the big aspect of this device as well. Over here is black tektite. Black tektite is the result of a oftentimes nickel iron meteorite impacting the sand, catching that extraterrestrial cosmic jolt entering reality. So it has that really intense energy caught in stone from the stars, which is a black ray stone, which luckily gives a very powerful Kundalini blast from the black ray, the earth stars, all the way up through the entire chakra column. So it's a very powerful Kundalini activator as well as a light body enhancer, light body fortifier to really intensify the entire chakra column to its ideal massive spectrum, so to speak. But luckily, like I mentioned, from a ground-up perspective and quite integral in a design of this kind of magnitude as well, to have that foundational cosmic boost of energy from the ground up. Very advantageous. This right here is serpentine, actually from my backyard here in Mount Shasta. Serpentine is a very humble appearing stone, but it actually has a very powerful serpentine Kundalini activation energy to it, which of course stimulates the entire chakra column. When the Kundalini activation ignites from the base primarily all the way up through the entire chakra column, that's the entire unified field making its way to our light body activation. So this stone actually dramatically encourages that, as well as cellular respiration of all kinds. So a very common, humble stone from this area, but utilized in a closed-loop circuit, very advantageous for more of a light body foundation healing modality. And this side of the engine, I will start off with the zoisite. There's a little bit of ruby on the other side. So zoisite actually comes from South Africa and is a very powerful heart-mind coherence igniter. So you can think of this being one of the more powerful heart-mind coherence stones in the mineral kingdom. And with the ruby in the matrix, actually has a very strong enthusiasm, enlightened red chakra activation point right here, root chakra. So when you have the trifecta of the enlightened red ray of ruby, then going to the heart-mind coherence is a truly powerful shift into one's true essence of who they really are in connection with creation through their heart and their mind. Then having the gusto to move forward with strength in that truth is quite the amazing stone, and obviously very healing in the modality of the structure. This right here is scoisite. Scoisite is a white ray stone of divinity that has strong submission to the 6th, 7th, and non-physical chakras, as well as being a window elemental stone and a stone that is very effective for calming the mind and bringing the witness self-perspective of one's truth into reality. So you can think of it as very powerful, soothing to the mind through higher witness self of perspective of reality, as well as a very lovely white ray frequency induction through the entire matrix of this device. And in a more physical, practical aspect too, it has a very powerful way of balancing brain chemistry to enhance serotonin distribution, so to speak, and things of that nature as well, and a very calming to the neural pathways, particularly the prefrontal lobes. So it is a fantastic stone for metaphysical endeavors, of course. To further augment that soothing broadcast of the subroutine, this would be Larimar. Larimar is a blue ray stone of great notoriety in this time and age, and has a strong similarity to the 5th and 6th chakras, but primarily the 5th in voice projection and soothing and calming. So it's very calming to the mind as well. And Larimar is a lovely stone, has gained, like I mentioned, quite a bit of notoriety in this timeline. A stone of Atlantis. Edgar C. Casey apparently described this stone would be discovered around time when Atlantis would be rediscovered. That's where this stone has been claimed to be associated with, but primarily a more practical application to this device in front of me. It brings a very calming oceanic energy to the field, which of course has been grounded into the matrix of this device to have that subtle frequency background to the entire pitch. And speaking of oceanic, I'm going to skip right to here and get back to these guys. This is aquamarine. Aquamarine is a beryl family stone that has a very nice atomical dense structure, oftentimes an 8.5 out of 10 hardness scale, which means its dense atomical structure of the blue frequency of water is a very strong stimulant to the fourth and fifth chakras, which of course is very useful to speak from the heart as well as any kind of counselingship modality, which of course that's these small aspects, this blue ray concentration of this device goes into the practitioner's capacities for their counseling work as background frequencies to stimulate that aspect of the impeccable fifth chakra, because the wisdom from the heart that the aquamarine really augments here is very helpful in being in the heart while speaking from the heart in service to whoever's under the jurisdiction of this wielder of this device. So these little blue aspects are meant to honor the aspect of counselorship. And aquamarine is a lovely, lovely cardinal water elemental stone for communication purposes, and a very clearing and calming frequency as well. So this right here, to be another antithesis to all these higher vibe things, is good old-fashioned red tiger's eye, with a little bit of gold right there in the matrix. Red tiger's eye, just like gold tiger's eye, has a slightly more red pitch to its frequency, so which gives it a more of a stronger root designation, while it stimulates the sacrum as well as the solar plexus. But more importantly about tiger's eye, actually takes the three and aligns them very steady and very stable. But with the extra red ray implication, it makes a stronger impact stimulation to the root chakra to stabilize and ground all this energy. So of course, there's a lot of different contingencies as a Tavara device to really get the most of this frequency grounded to reality and wieldable with ease, and to be ensured in the confidence of the wielder of this device to stay just stable, confident, and strong in their endeavors and their spiritual quest. To put that one quite simply. And to further intensify the intentional broadcast, this actually is fulgurite. This is petrified lightning, which has been wire wrapped straight to the main engine. So the power of lightning is contained in this frequency. This is a result of sand being struck by lightning, and that lightning energy being caught in the sand, which holds that intensive charge. So fulgurite, petrified lightning, has a very intensive stimulation to the entire light body, like the force of lightning, so to speak, going through it. But obviously having that lightning energy with such a well-contained, stabilized, grounded matrix means that arced energy of lightning has a strong ground point to get the most out of it. But lightning by itself is a very powerful light body stimulant. It activates the entire chakra column very rapidly, actually. And so the utilization of lightning, petrified lightning, fulgurite, back in the day by particularly First Nation medicine men, shamans, was to intensify their intention connection to creation or spirit or source, and be able to intensify their prayers quite dramatically. So obviously, in tandem with such a magical intentional broadcast of labradorite on a more streamlined contained circuit, or weaponized if you would, gives it much more gusto of the aspect of wielding the intention for those under the jurisdiction of the wielder to really send up that prayer and then just throw it out there into creation. And next, but certainly not least, though, in this section right here, actually a very critical component to this vibratory structure is this slab of seraphinite. Seraphinite is an amazing green ray seraphim-inspired stone. It's named after the seraphim archangels, which is the domain of the highest archangel spheres of seraphim. Seraphinite is a lovely green ray stone that actually has, of course, the obvious submission to the green ray heart chakra, but also stimulates the entire chakra column, or I am column cord, into perfect calibration. So this frequency right now is a master healer that goes, of course, lovely in tandem with the pathway of the star argonite. I'm not sure if I really justified the amazingness of the star argonite as a healing tool quite to my standards, so to speak, of its dramatic, intense metaphysical importance, but it mostly kind of corresponds with the full light body healing modality that seraphinite does. So I guess these two in tandem can be almost described together as having the same energy pathways they stimulate to make a very healing field. So obviously in tandem, it intensifies that intended result of this part of the matrix. So seraphinite, just like the star argonite, has a very clearing pattern for any kind of outmodeled patterns that be manifesting as dis-ease. And it's perhaps one of the most powerful frequencies in this modern timeline to banish the energies of dis-ease that come from divisitory consciousness, as well as any kind of imprintations that would manifest as a physical ailment. So that's one of the master healers of our timeline, is seraphinite by itself. And like I mentioned, the star argonite once again in this part of the description, is that of course they both stimulate the entire chakra calm and also work to dismantle any kind of frequencies that would be impeding the fully functioning light body from grounding through the physical body, making a perfect dharmic factory setting tandem, so to speak. So that's a very important stone in that regard, as well as this is a tremendously important stone. As a matter of fact, that's why this stone will be exposed at the very apex tip, so it has more of a prominent aspect of being a part of the focus of the device, which I will get into a little bit later. Actually, I might as well get into this now since I'm down at the engine. So this right here is a sample of the white leather I'll be cutting after this video is concluded, once this is all described. To have the white leather around this engine right here will also be a nice neutral 7-ray diffuser of electromagnetic white around the main engine, which will work as a color therapy buffer as well as an insulator and a protector of the stones that are very placed under here to ensure that they never get loose, obviously, and also to be able to have the, like I said, insulation, color therapy, and protection for this entire section. Then once the leather is installed there, this Ankh, the key of life, a great magical symbol used for literally thousands of years for metaphysical purposes, will be placed right here next to this aragonite to have a termination of this special healing frequency with a magical symbol of great notoriety of healing. And on top of that will be a lovely piece of lepidoite, shaped like a moon, to have the aspect of honoring the feminine practitioner who will be receiving this device, the powers of the feminine receptive, which is of course very in line with the labradorite itself that honors the entire archetype. So to kind of give somewhat of a preview over the description right here, I'm intending on actually wrapping this moon right above the Ankh like so, and having the frequency of the lepidoite ground to the Ankh, which is a neutral carrier of stainless steel, into the aragonite like so. So that lepidoite is a very powerful lithium-potassium-based frequency that's very, very calming. It's one of perhaps more calming, soothing frequencies in the mineral kingdom. So obviously with all this intensive energy, having a prominent badging of the lepidoite, a very powerful, soothing lithium-potassium-based frequency, the cardinal stop and smell the roses frequency basically, will be very advantageous for keeping the soothing, calming background frequency to such an intensively complex, magical inducing device, quite simply. That's the aspect too I digressed earlier about, is that labradorite is a very, very magical stone, and so oftentimes I don't have much effort in really quantifying a stone's frequency broadcast, how it affects reality, but labradorite is still quite one of those mysteries of creation when it comes to mineral kingdom. That can be like discussing the mysteries of the ocean is a good way. I like that analogy quite a bit for that purpose. But anyhow, I digress quite a bit on this mysterious stone, obviously. It still captivates me after all these years. And so, the lepidoite will make a very soothing frequency, will honor, like I mentioned, like honoring the feminine archetype with the Ankh, the key of life, ancient Egyptian mystery school, symbol power of eternal life, and all those healing modalities. So that'd be very spectacular. And having it right here, the intended aspect of having next to the aragonite to ping off the aragonite, then ping off the lepidoite, will actually make a calming frequency through the aspect of this magical symbol being employed in a circuit. Okay, so I believe that would be the entirety of the engine section. Without further ado, I will head up to the rest of the blade. So previously mentioned, this will be the handband section where there's a termination sequence of, you can't see it now because of the brown leather, but the smoke quartz and hematite will be underneath the handle on the same kind of band, just like seen here, like this, both sides, going into the thumb engagement. So I already mentioned the labradorite on here and here to be more of a concentrated dose of the main frequency broadband, but the thumb engagement is quite the vast network to explore in itself. So the central piece of this thumb engagement, designed to actually engage the thumb like so, just like that, is Libyan gold tektite and moldavite. So Libyan gold tektite is the golden stone utilized by pharaohs of old to be the power breastplates of their cool regalia they'd wear, basically, their power breastplates. So those sorcerer kings would actually have this carved into a scarab beetle, then mounted at the center, particularly with different frequencies, that timeline of turquoise and lapis, things of that nature. But Libyan gold tektite has a very strong stimulation to the solar plexus, sacrum primarily, yet actually activates the entire light body energy field. Due to the fact that it's also known as a extraterrestrial stone, it's almost a gold ray cousin to moldavite that's lesser known in this timeline, and has a very powerful cosmic energy intention broadcast throughout its entire system. So obviously that makes a very powerful intention solar plexus will intensifier. So it makes intentions or manifestations very, very intensified through that frequency. Then the creativity aspects to the highest level that actually will make a very powerful shield of energy from the sacrum, which is a receptive impact sacral area. So of course that can have a lot of residues and things that will imprint in the confidence to really compromise the lower three grounding points. But having that heavy dose Libyan gold tektite will definitely put the focus of the device through the thumb right there with the strong solar plexus engagement, if you would. So it'll be quite potent in the aspect of further intensifying the intention of the practitioner for example, if they're wielding it for the benefit of a candidate under jurisdiction of healing, you can really just pray really hard and broadcast that right through like so to speak, which I will get more into with the focalizer crystals in a little bit. And the moldavite, of course, is the legendary green ray stone of the emerald that fell from the sky. According to religion, that's a thing that's also about moldavite, is that in certain legends they claim that there's an emerald that fell from the sky that was contained to the Holy Grail frequency, or the source of creation energy emanation. So having a little dose of moldavite is quite potent in this device as well. And then having the moldavite is a very powerful green ray cosmic aligner. So obviously it's a very powerful stone for synchronicities and a magic of all kinds through that very intensive heart chakra connection through a impact from a mysterious stone that came from the stars. Only one like it in the world is from Bladu Plateau in Czech Republic. So it's very, very specialty frequency stone of great magic. Green guy right there. And to contain the thumb engagement, like so right here, is a engagement band of turquoise, which I already described, rutilated quartz to accelerate the frequency of the closed loop circuit just for the thumb engagement, as well as hemimorphite in the bluish whitish spectrum into rutilated quartz into lapis lazuli found here and here in greater doses, which I will describe, of course, in a little bit about that. Actually, I might as well cover the lapis right now. So lapis should not need much introduction in the metaphysical history use, but this was a highly prized stone of ancient Egypt for being the stone of Isis. So in a more like pragmatic term relevant to this timeline, it's a high wind frequency, elemental frequency broadcaster that stimulates the 5th and 6th chakras in tandem. So it's very useful for any kind of metaphysical endeavors of the higher mind, as well as any kind of past life recall, which is of course another domain of labradorite as well. And speaking royal virtues of high wisdom is very paramount in Lapis's frequency when it actually interacts with the human morphic field. And so Lapis, of course, makes a very powerful inner queen, inner king, higher resonance, soul, wisdom, truth available to the conscious self very easily. So very, very lovely stone of psychic endeavors, obviously. So I had concentration on the thumb engagement to primarily keep the wielder in the sphere of their highest truth to ensure that contact patch is a direct result of this exact heavy blue ray concentration thumb engagement. Then right here is a very special stone named hemimorphite. Hemimorphite, this is kind of a bluish white spectrum, so it has a very nice blue-white octave reception to actually activate the auric field at a certain particular pitch. Blue hemimorphite is a very powerful heart. Let's see, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra activator. It's very, very powerful stone for mediumship and mind and heart coherence. So it's a very, very impeccable frequency stone for any kind of higher capacity channeling, so to speak, of that's very complementary to such a high channeling capacity, psychic inducing frequency of the labradorite primary focus of this device. So that'd be the thumb engagement, like so. Then, to be the perfect antithesis, if that's a word, to the labradorite is its cousins, actually. So this right here would be rainbow moonstone. Rainbow Moonstone is actually a cousin to Labradorite. Has a nice refraction. You can't quite see in the video, but it has a nice refraction just like Labradorite does right here in this matrix. Rainbow Moonstone is a very powerful yin, feminine energy, polarity, frequency that is quite effective for any kind of magic as well as intuition heightened. So you can think of it being another cousin to Labradorite. So that would be the Rainbow Moonstone. This right down here would be the Sunstone, which is a great enlightened masculine frequency broadcast that has a very strong stimulation to the solar plexus and sacrum and is very much a very positive frequency stone and beneficent masculine archetype pretty much sums it up. So it's great for manifestations and positivity and turning judgments into joys and just good vibes, pretty much, in that aspect. So when you have the combination of the masculine, feminine, the Rainbow Moonstone, and the Labradorite, those are a trinity or a trifecta of cousins that actually embody the masculine, Sunstone, feminine, Moonstone, and then the shadow aspect of the Labradorite, which is behind the polarity. Behind the veil of polarity is where Labradorite basically resides, so to speak, in that capacity. So having these three together is a very powerful synergistic Kundalini activator to have of the feminine, masculine, and all the way through the entire system in perfect polarity balance, quite simply. So having those three together in one circuit is very advantageous for achieving that harmonic goal. Speaking of harmonic, this right here is actually Metatron's cube. This is a very powerful sacred geometric symbol that is found in all aspects of creation, and particularly associated with the archangel Metatron, the sacred architect of creation. So that symbol, of course, is quite beautiful, with the circular aspects being the feminine polarities, while the straight lines are the masculine, and they all connect through everything. Of course, you can see this in snowflakes and all aspects of that nature. I won't digress further on that, but what's important is taking that magical symbol and having amethyst being at the base of it. Amethyst is a very powerful purple ray, violet ray, frequency 7th, crown chakra, 6th, third eye, activator, as well as a very powerful purifier of negativity through higher divine frequency. So, just like Labradorite, the amethyst in conjunction with the hematite and smudge quartz makes a very powerful transmutation of energy throughout the entire broadcast of this device. And once again, lapis to really encourage that higher truth, counsel, wisdom to be utilized by the practitioner, like mentioned right here in thumb engagement. I will get now into the focalizer crystals. So this right here is titanium aura quartz, which is titanium pressure coated onto a clear quartz structure. Titanium aura quartz is very powerful for actually inducing the entire light body spectrum of all the chakra columns and really emboldening the entire frequency pitch from top to bottom. So very, very powerful stone for empowerment and to ensure the confidence and strength of one's field when engaging this frequency. So this is a very special part of this device right here I'm about to discuss. This right here on both sides of these focalizer crystals, so you can think of the aspect of this entire blade band closing a circuit. Then this is grounded into the primary wire at the scene right here and takes the radial energy and puts a focus. So you can think of this almost as the crosshairs where the energy actually grounds through and broadcasts. For example, grounding to a tree right there to kind of have the focus of the energy focalize. But these are Tibetan black quartz. This is why it's a very special part of this device. Tibetan black quartz is a very powerful stone from Tibet that, of course, has had thousands of years of high spiritual practice in that vicinity of great concentration. But this is primarily a clear quartz stone with black carbon inclusions, which also produces a very powerful Om frequency from that area, so to speak, as well as a very powerful source aligner. But primarily in this capacity, with the black carbon inclusions, it works like a very highly more spiritualized version of smoky quartz and its purification that actually has a very strong purification through the entire energy field. Any kind of like weak or lazy chakra meridian, so to speak, gets rapidly purified from top to bottom very, very effortlessly, very quickly, and has a full stimulation through the entire grounding cord very quickly through the Earth meridian matrix, through the Earth stars, to really encourage that strong ground of Mother Earth. At the same time, it also makes a very powerful expansion of the higher chakras, non-physical chakras, towards the higher self. So when you have that purification, transmutation of really expanding the field in all aspects from Mother Earth to Father Sky in a very impeccable way as the main focus of this device, it gives it a lot of clearing potential power when being wielded and broadcasted for any kind of negativities that are of divisitory nature that can be rapidly discharged and amended by that frequency, so to speak. And right here, these guys are selenite. Selenite is a lovely gypsum-based stone that is actually a strong stimulant to the 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakras. So you can think of it as a very powerful key to the gateway to the higher self, as well as a purifier of any kind of densities stuck around the field or any kind of negativity as well, to clear stuck negative energy densities very quickly out of a space, for example. But most importantly utilized in this device, selenite will take this entire frequency pitch running through this closed loop circuit. It will amplify, harmonize, and purify the entire vibratory rate. So its utilization in light tech is pretty self-evidently important and had to be, of course, utilized for its amazing capacities in any given device. So obviously that takes the entire frequency, also makes a very powerful clearing capacity as well. And to further get the most out of that selenite's neutral amplification purification ratio is the 4 spectrums of kyanite wire wrapped to the face of the selenite to intensify the connectivity of these broadbands. So black kyanite is a very powerful grounder of energy through the black ray. So black kyanite by itself really ensures maximum contact patch into the Earth meridian matrix is very quickly grounded through very, very rapidly. So very, very useful for a foundational frequencies device of this nature. Then the orange kyanite rapidly bridges energies from the astral aspects to the sacrum of higher creativity or divine inspiration, if you would. Then in combination with the green kyanite, which rapidly grounds and broadcasts heart energy through all directions and rapidly aligns heart energies, as well as blue kyanite, which rapidly bridges energies through the neural pathways and higher domains of spirit, as well as astral capacities and clairvoyance, psychic capacities. So that's an aspect of the 4 kyanites in spectrum, making very rapid transfer energy. So you can think of these guys also working as another layer of etheric Teflon that will make a very quick transference of energy, so nothing can really stick of density negativity, so to speak, to the field when this is engaged. And a very, very important, actually, everyday aspect of the kyanites utilization that's quite advantageous is that these frequencies, they bridge energy so quickly, and they're very, very effective. For example, like taking the frequency of this device and making an alignment with this tree outside, my buddy out there, to rapidly ground the energy through myself into this Wi-Fi ground, so to speak, towards directing the focus of this energy towards this cedar tree outside. And that's, of course, an aspect of its practical application in a Lightblade wand. But what's very useful with that frequency as well is that you can think of 2 different disparate energies of a candidate here, say person A, person B. It rapidly transfers energy so quickly that actually works as a great stone of diplomacy. So you can think of any kind of discoherent energies that aren't quite seeing eye to eye or meeting quite right. They can align so quickly that it's like magic, basically. The harmonic alignment that can occur in a difficult situation or negotiation is highly bridged from these frequencies, and it's pretty amazing, actually. So kyanite's utilization is quite essential too for the transference of intentional energy, as well as good old-fashioned diplomacy and seeing eye to eye, and cutting through the barriers of any kind of disparate energies, which is very useful, of course, when you talk about vibrational dissonance with a certain frequency pitch of the wielder, for example, being a very high frequency pitch, may come across a more dense frequency resonant, which can, of course, cause a little bit of disharmonic alignment, to put it lightly. That'd be hard to communicate properly. But the aspect of the kyanites make rapid transfers to whoever, so that the alignments can actually be rapidly filled in, and the diplomacy of behind a unified field of 2 appearing separate parties, of a human here, will make alignment very quickly. So, And the main core itself is oak wood, actually from my backyard once again. Oak is a very dense atomical structure and in strengthening carbon-based resonance. So obviously known stone of, the tree of kings and heroes and gods, of course, is oak. And not to mention having a dense, strengthened atomical core of the wood of oak with such a high frequency pitch device is very advantageous to be the perfect antithesis to such a heavy, intensive, third eye inducing, higher clairvoyant capacity sorcery device, so to speak. And that would be the entirety of the mineral composition of this entire device. So that's the crystalline order taken care of in great description. So in summary, this lovely device is designed to ensure the highest contact patch for the wielder of this device intended for, to keep them in alignment to their highest truth, no matter what circumstance, and to employ that highest truth and magic, so to speak, in their practice for them to wield this energy in assistance to creation and to bless spaces and places and people that the wielder finds themselves in service to. That's the big aspect. And to have the insurance to stay on the path and stay in alignment to their highest spiritual truth, no matter what the circumstances, and be a beacon of light in the world, quite simply. Well, that would be the entirety of Ensureance. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.